following the morning sessions, and I heard different speakers from ET, NISG, and different state governments, and they talked about their challenges, and they also talked about their achievement. For example, if you see Aadhaar, digital payment, right, and something we got to be proud of, right, because it's unparalleled in the world. Having said so, I mean, have we done enough? Should we saturate ourselves? Perhaps no, because as we moved along, we have made a tremendous progress. But if you see, we are still living in the area of Uber and Ola and Swiggy and so forth, so on and so forth. So customers or citizens or residents, we call them in terms of they are demanding next level of services, right? They are not stopping at the G2E services. They are looking at a faceless, documentless, different kind of services. So I think it will be good to hear your experience around the subject, the different digital transformation projects you have undertaken in your different roles for improving the public service delivery. And also, I think we have got a very what you say power pack panel. The reason being why I'm saying it's a very diverse panel. So we have representative from organizations like railways, right? I mean, unparalleled, as we always say, the number one employer in terms of more than million employees and more than million pensioners. So look at the size and breadth of railways what we have. Then we have representations from center, states, and other places as well, right? So it's a very diverse group. So let's start. I think what we will do, we'll just go through in terms of your own experience and thoughts around the same subject, and then we'll have a follow-up questions later subject to the permission we have a time. So I may start with E.T. Pandey ma'am, because you have illustrious career in terms of doing number of things in railway, and as you said, railway is something which we all have looked up to, and the kind of improvement railway has done unparalleled. If I remember my college days, in terms of getting in the queue, and then what I see nowadays, in terms of not only the e-services, but also the service overall. So ma'am, over to you. You just want to share your feedback in terms of, what all railways has done in the past and what we can look up to in the future also for improving public service deliveries further.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to all my co-panelists. I wanted to take you through the journey of Indian Railways, and Indian Railways is the biggest carrier in the country. It is the fourth largest government employed railway system in the world, and like our host just mentioned, we employ about 12.58 million people, and the rate at which we are going, we are supposed to be cutting down on the number of people we've employed, and that is where leveraging technology comes in a big way. If we look at the IT scenario for the country, we say that more than 8,000 million people will be using the internet in times to come. So at present, it is a $200 billion industry, but they say by 2025, it is going to have an economic value of about 1 trillion. So when we have Wi-Fi systems being provided free of cost by Google at around 150 odd locations of our stations, it means a big thing for our passengers. If we go segment wise into the Indian Railways, we are using the concept of technology and e-governance in the areas of passenger interface. So you have the whole passenger reservation system, which you've been seeing since 1983. We came up with e-ticketing through IRCTC. We overhauled the web page of IRCTC. And so now at a click of a button, you not only have a choice of train in which you want to travel, but suppose it's full and you want another alternative, that alternative is provided to you in seconds. So that is one interface which we've gone into. Then other than the passenger reservation ticket, we have what is called the UTS ticket, which goes on for your suburban system and local travel in your unreserved coaches. So we have some 5,800 intellects at that point of time. And in a course of a day, we are issuing about 10,000 tickets for people to travel. This is a pre-COVID figure. Of course, post-COVID, there's restrictions in travel with double vaccination certificates, which is something which the Indian Railways is now going into details and trying to control these practices, also looking at the COVID scenario in the country. Now, when we talk about automatic ticketing system, we come to freight operations, and we have done a lot in freight operations, particularly during the COVID times when we have carried medicines, when we've carried oxygen cylinders from one part of the country to the other. Now, we have used technology to prevent customers from actually coming to our stations, and we have developed the technology of booking online, of issuing the transaction receipt also through technological advancements. And we have got something called the e-Drishti monitoring system. Here, the railways themselves are able to monitor where they are going in terms of parameters like wagon turnaround, what are the facilities which are available at the goods sheds, how is the customer, passenger, and railway interface. Another thing which is being developed in a big way are the parcel timetable cargo expresses, which we call the PCETs, which have carried the mundane and essential commodities from one part of the country to the other, helping us in COVID times. And now, because they are entrenched in the system, we are able to run them even otherwise. You've heard the concept of Kisan Rail, where we are providing subsidy to the farmers, and the farmers are coming charged of payment through the POS system, through the UPI system. So another phase of the technology that we are using is cashless transaction. So now you're able to pay for your freight, which means your goods services, as well as your passenger and parcel services through passageways, which we have now done through the SBI, and we are providing a gateway of payment. One more area which we, being a service organization where technology is helping us a lot, is called the Rail Mother app. Now here, through 139, you're able to log in your complaint while being on board the train service. So suppose that your AC system's not working, the toilets are dirty, the linen which you've been provided is dirty, your food is not coming on time, your 139 service will automatically log into the local exchange, get your service upgraded by the next station. Other than that, we have established what is called the COIS system through the computerized operation information system. We are trying to real track the train movement, so we know exactly what time, when the train will reach your destination. So here the announcement system is now being kind of done away with when we are providing you this information on real-time basis. Here ISRO and the Indian Railways is also tying up so as to help passenger get this information on real-time basis. Another thing which the Railways is doing its own asset management, looking at its safety structures through an app-based program, which is now certified. It is ISO certified. So how many wagons we have at a time in a particular railway, how many coaches are available, which coaches have been due for primary maintenance or secondary maintenance, that all is coming as a feed. So you have all heard that a Gati Shakti announcement was made in the budget of 2022-23, where we are going to build up in the next 10 years some 500 Gati Shakti terminals, which are going to be multimodal. We are going to tie up with the roadways, we are going to tie up with the waterways, and provide a seamless transition of cargo and passengers in times to come. So that is the future which we are looking forward to. With that, I hand it over to my host for further interactions. Thank you so much.
Thanks, ma'am. I think that was a lot to hear, and also I think a lot to celebrate in terms of the thing which railway is doing. On the lighter side, I would say that railway should start that service of giving blankets and bed sheets back to people, as I keep on hearing the complaints kind of thing from my friends and family member who still use.
Yes.
I think
we are going to do that in the next phase. Yes.
That was on the lighter side. So I'll thanks, ma'am. I'll come back to you with follow-up questions. I'll just stick to railways, and I'll move to Manohar sir in terms of the RailTel, right? So I mean RailTel, as we see, kind of they are into the cloud service provider, and they're also trying to collaborate with industry for improving the overall public service delivery and the digital transformation. While continuously they have been building networks and infrastructure, but obviously they are also coming out. So your thoughts in terms of how RailTel is going to look at these opportunities and kind of spread its wing further, what they have been doing. Sir, you are on a mute.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Amit, and good afternoon to all my co-panelists. I'll start with saying that very briefly why RailTel is moving in certain direction. Okay, we started being a network service provider. That space is done. We added data centers. We're trying to add value to the network. Okay, so what do? We have added a data center, we added cloud, and we are thinking what problems can we solve. And obviously, because of we are part of a very large organization like railways, we understand the domain. We were fortunate to do this very transformative e-office project, which is quite transformational. In a short period of nearly about 6 to 8 months, we were able to complete the e-office thing with more than 1 lakh users across the country, across all the things, which we think, even though we didn't plan it that way, but this was one of the key pillars for railways functioning during the pandemic. I think our functionalities did not come down. I think this was our kind of usage hit peak at that level. We've also seen another interesting digital transformation thing which we did is implementing the hospital management information system for all the hospitals across in the railways. And this also was done in a relatively short time, and here a lot of customization was required. And I think our team quietly did that. And we also, one of the key things I think is we integrated with the Ayushman Bharat digital network program also. So in fact, we were the first large network to integrate with the very ambitious Ayushman Bharat network. I think that should also create some impact in the days to come. In our beneficiaries are more than 50 lakh, another 30 lakh beneficiaries from our earlier Umeed ID project. So all these things are keeping us really excited about what problems we can solve. Another interesting project which we solved for inside the railways is EDAS system, where our engineering processes, when we process for the layout plan and add signaling layers to it, the traffic management layers to it, is a very large process because we have large drawings which move from one department to another department. We have digitized that. And people are saying that it's tremendously improved the way the processes happen, because this was a large, tedious thing to do, but very, very important thing to do also, because it actually requires inputs from all the departments. And this kind of helped the teams to collaborate much more effectively. So I was just citing a few cases where we looked inward and we to our alma mater and did these large digital transformation projects. The other one which Iti Madam mentioned is, of course, I just want to say that we tried to also, because as a Venu railway station is a kind of microcosm of India. People from all section of the society come there, and then we were thinking of converting that into finding out whether we can do a digital inclusion platform, and that's how we thought about the station Wi-Fi. And with the help of Google, we had done about 450 stations. And then with the help of Tata Trust, we have now done all 6,000 stations. And we have seen that apart from passengers, the communities around also are leveraging it very well. Very heartwarming stories, actually, if you look into some of them which come out. Many entrepreneurs using it, many things. Sometimes people are saying they were people who, especially during the pandemic times, were not connected. They came to the station to attend interviews because they wanted to be sure that their network won't go down and things like that. We keep hearing stories like that, and that's very heartwarming, really. These are the kind of passenger impacting stories. We also started the content and demand inside the railway station, but because of the pandemic and the trains not running, I think that has run into some challenge. We have this railway display network project also to be done, which we are still under process, and hopefully that should become a large digital communication platform for all passengers, a network display network across the entire station, across the entire railway network. Can become probably one of the largest outdoor digital OH platforms. That also is possible. Apart from digital OH platform, it can emerge as a principal medium for passenger communication. So these are some of the initiatives which we think we are doing, which is a lot of public interest. But RailTel, from our pedigree, we are primarily network guys. We understand ICT to some extent. But with emerging technology, what we decided our strategy is how we can build on the abilities of the very agile IT industry which we have. And so we have 2 partner programs running. We have a business associate program wherein we partner with the traditional IT companies to create bespoke programs and participate in tenders and things like that. We are becoming more business savvy. And another program which we have is a digital service partner program, wherein we have on our data center, we host this SaaS players who create a very unique, some of them are so unique, the solutions are so unique that we will look at how they can solve what kind of problem. One interesting thing which I was recently discovering, so I'm going to state that, is there's a simple thing where we do auctioning. Railways auction a lot of materials, and that is a very, very large process which the stores department do. And there is a process of fixing the reserve price. Now that process happens with a bit of local tribal knowledge. Okay, what happened last time? Now what happened here and there? But we have used AI to link it to the indices, to the metal indices of thing, or the trend in the last 3 months or 6 months. We have linked it with all the data around the division, the zonal railway, across the things. So, then you have a very data-driven reserve price. We believe that this will definitely bump up the auction value over a period of time. I mean, this is just, I'm citing an example. Once we actually implement it, we would know the impact and difference. I was just saying, from a very typical story like this to so many problems can be solved. And my only thing about how we can, everybody acknowledges digital is a lever, but digital is not a project. So unfortunately, we conceive digital transformation as projects, and that lessens the impact and get siloed things. I think we need to build a large canvas on where we want to go and keep filling up those gaps and see how we can create platforms, because railways itself is a platform. Before platform was probably invented. And if from a digital perspective, if we can create platforms for transformation, then so many other things can build on that. This is something which I hope we will be able to do for the railways, and because people talk about it, but still projects are getting conceived in a siloed fashion. I think we will be able to create more impact when we collaborate and think about things very holistically. So that's all for my opening statement. I hope I didn't use more of my time.
Thanks, sir. Fascinating to know about it, and also I think we all feel that we are in a good hands in terms of railways, the way modernization and digitization is taking place. So I think we'll go back to that used to be a preferred mode of conveyance before, we had this boom of airlines, so on and so forth. So let's divert a bit and let's take a perspective from a state now. Okay, so I'll just move to Rama ma'am. So ma'am, you there?
Yes.
So ma'am, share your thoughts around the subject, and also, so if you see, southern states have been champions in terms of usage of technology. Whole Andhra put together erstwhile, and now we have Mr. Vidyasagara also from Andhra. I'll share the perspective. So, but if you see the traditional projects which we have done wonderfully, siloed approach, then we are getting integrated also, like state-specific projects. But what can be done better in terms of usage, improving the usage of emerging technologies, right? Where I feel that we are still kind of doing consultings and POC. We have to move beyond those and look at the blockchains, IoT, and other things which kind of startups or private sector is using so heavily. So your thoughts around that, and the overall thoughts on the improving public service delivery.
Sure. Thank you, Amit. A very good afternoon to all the co-panelists and to the attendees. Well, Amit, in Telangana, we have taken a holistic approach on emerging technologies. To start with, we actually established a separate wing called Emerging Technologies Wing, so that we take up all the initiative programs in a very focused manner, and with a twin objective. This wing, one is how do we leverage these technologies, as you rightly mentioned at the beginning, like how do we actually use these technologies within the government, and the second one is to develop the ecosystem within the state, because unless you have a matured ecosystem, you will not get good solutions for these emerging technologies. So with that in mind, we actually, what we do for each of these technologies, we come out with policy frameworks wherein we identify key foundational pillars for each policy. For example, if you take AI, some of the technologies that we have been focusing on, for example, are artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud, drones and robotics, additive manufacturing. That's a different area that we are also working on. So for each of these technologies, what we do, we come out with policy frameworks, which means what we do is we identify foundational pillars, areas where government need to focus on. For example, if you take AI, for example, you need huge data sets, large number of data sets that help algorithms, so we are actually setting up an agriculture data exchange platform initially for the agriculture domain. So for each of these areas, like be it artificial intelligence, blockchain, drones, we identify key pillars. For example, if you look at drones, in fact, our drones framework was launched in the year 2019, just after those stringent regulations in drones were released. Now in 2021, it's a liberalized drone regulations that we are seeing. So at that point of time, what we indicated in the framework is we'll actually help startups to navigate the regulatory landscape. So for each of the technologies, we identify specific areas where the government will work on to help the ecosystem. That is one. Second is within the framework, we also identify sectors or domain areas. For example, in AI, what we said, we'll focus on agriculture, healthcare, law enforcement, smart cities and mobility. So within these focus areas, what we do is we actually identify specific use cases within the government, and try to implement those use cases. So as on today, there are about 35 plus projects across various departments or various domains in Telangana, like 15 plus projects in artificial intelligence, 10 plus in blockchain, more than 7 projects in drones, IoT and others, So specifically, when I talk about AI, I'll just briefly mention marquee projects in each of these. In agriculture, we actually started off what you call AI for AI, artificial intelligence for agriculture innovation. Again, this is in partnership with World Economic Forum. So we actually came out with a project called, Sagu Bagu. And the idea is to actually deploy emerging technologies, be it artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, across the value of chain of a crop. For example, if you take chilies, what are the technologies that can be deployed across the crop life cycle to increase productivity, to increase income to the farmers, and so on. So we have identified the vendors, and we are just starting the implementation. Of course, there are other already projects that we have implemented. One important one is this is in partnership with Vadvani AI, where we have used an AI tool to actually alert farmers in advance of the pest infestation. Usually, by the time the farmers actually realize the pest has infected, they actually damage has already been done. So this one tool that gives advance alerts. So there are various projects in artificial intelligence in various domains that we are working on. In view of the constraint of the time, I'm not getting into the details. And the second one in blockchain, again, more than 10 use cases we have been implementing. One project that we are very proud of that I want to share is it's smartphone-based, e-voting project. We are using 2 emerging technologies in the area. One is, again, this is in partnership with CDAC, which is a government organization, because it's a very sensitive project. We wanted to go with government implementing agency, So we're using, it's a smartphone-based application. We are using facial recognition technology and Aadhaar to authenticate an individual, and blockchain to secure the vote. So once you vote, he or she votes, the votes are secured on blockchain. Again, it's separated from the voter, it's dealing from the voter's name and it's stored on blockchain. So in fact, we have presented this to the election commissioners panel. It's a committee, standing committee, they call it, parliamentary committee. And in fact, they were also very impressed by this. We piloted in Khammam district. It's as a kind of dry run, and the citizens just loved it. There was such good feedback from the citizen. Of course, there were certain technical challenges that we faced in terms of facial recognition. It's due to various reasons, not because of the algorithm. We're actually addressing those. So in blockchain, there is another very interesting projects that we are working on. But I'm moving on to drones, which is again very close to the hearts. I don't know how many of you are aware. Now even the Prime Minister yesterday, I think the Prime Minister or today, I think he tweeted about Kisan drones. Where a startup companies actually demonstrated the use of drones in about 100 towns or districts in India. He just tweeted today. So drones, but we actually initially ventured into the healthcare. We use drones to deliver vaccines, and the project is called Medicines from the Sky. Use drones to deliver vaccines, blood, medicines, and so on. This project has been inaugurated by the Civil Aviation Minister, last August. And now other states and other central government organizations are actually taking up this. While we are working on such interesting projects, but as I said, we come out with policy frameworks. Then we set up institutions of excellence for each of these AI. We have Telangana AI Mission, which is in partnership with NASSCOM. For cybersecurity, we have set up Center of Excellence in Cybersecurity. This is in partnership with Data Security Council of India. So we come out with policy frameworks, set up institution of excellence, hire the best team from the industry, and work in these technologies. I think this actually, strategy is actually working excellently in Telangana, and other states can actually emulate this model. So yeah, Amit, thank you for giving this opportunity. Over to you.
Thanks, ma'am. Really good to know. And also, we as a consultant, we would definitely like to learn and take the learnings of Andhra, Telangana to other states where the same can be replicated, and the more success stories can be replicated as well. So I'll just move on to a different perspective. Let's take a perspective from Dr. Lalthalamuana, who joins us from Mizoram. Doctor, is there?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Amit.
Good afternoon, sir. So in the previous sessions, we had representation from states like Assam and Jammu and Kashmir, and where they talked about, like, despite our challenges in the past, but we have been able to improve the public service delivery. I mean, obviously there are challenges of networking and so on, capacity building, so on and so forth. So in terms of that, would like to learn from your experience of improving public service deliveries using digital-based solutions in state of Mizoram and elsewhere.
Okay. All right. Actually, as far as Mizoram is concerned, it is very difficult to keep up on this digital transformation due to lack of broadband internet connectivity in rural areas. In most of the rural areas, actually, they don't have a high-speed broadband connection. Though we tried to strive for all these kind of challenges, and we try to solve these kind of problems. And right now, we currently set up 501 VSAT in the villages, and we put a common service center as a public service delivery mechanism. That is also one of the important aspects for providing a public service delivery. And that mechanism, actually, everything are in place in 501 places. So we are setting up village level, village knowledge center in all these places. That is part of for the public, So as far as this public service delivery system is concerned, we have legal document support. That is the Mizoram Right to Public Services Act. That is already in place, and Mizoram Citizen Service Electronics Governance Rules are also in place. So with this mechanism, that the department, all the departments, to provide this online public service delivery to people, actually. So that mechanism is already in place. So right now, what we are currently doing is the Department of ICT and Mizoram State E-Governance Society develop a platform where public service delivery kind of system, so that all the government departments are being computerized right now to enable to provide public service delivery. Those kind of things have been taken up, and in which most of our certification like birth certificate or tribal certificate or education certificate, those are already pushed into digital locker, and that we make use of that. Then Aadhaar is also 90%, more than 90% already registered in Aadhaar, Mizoram. In Mizoram, that's actually that is also one of our achievement. And then we are in different sectors like education, learning management system, and online examination we have made, and we actually all the education departments like schools, colleges, universities. Right now, everybody are online examination and online classes. We develop a software like learning management system and online examination system, and computerization of all government offices with special focus on public service delivery system. Those are being developed by the Mizoram State E-Governance Society, that is in-house designed and developed by the Mizoram State E-Governance Society. We never outsource to outside company or any other things. Then right now, what we are currently doing is we are doing e-services initiative that is in a big way, and we are incorporated with our own payment gateway. We have our own SMS gateway. So we take care of our government of Mizoram department to enable to provide the public service to the people. That's what we currently doing. There are a lot of things to talk about on this matter, and especially for farmers and other like farmers. Those kind of people we have developed like supply chain management and e-commerce also we have developed, and multi-vendor system to enable to sell our Mizo products like our handicraft, handicraft, those kind of things. So we incorporated with Ministry of Agriculture, have also got e-mart, and Ministry of Textile, they also have e-seal. So we integrated all these things with our own e-commerce site. So these kind of things we have taken up on this matter. Most of the public service delivery we are developing mobile-based application in iOS and Android. Those are all in-house. That's what we have taken up so far in the improvement of our public service delivery system. Thank you, Amit. Any question you want to ask?
Considering the size and scale of the state and other challenges, so are you going for an integrated approach where common apps for different departments?
Yes, everything is integrated approach, and we have our own integration mechanism. We have got those kind of metadata standard and API kind of things, and service delivery gateway. We have our own service delivery gateway through which we integrated everything. So this kind of approach we are currently doing.
So congratulations, sir, for good work, and good to hear from northeast states and Jammu and Kashmir today in terms of the improvement which they have brought in the state in the last few years. So thank you very much. I'll come back to you with the follow-up question. So I'll just move on to the different perspective now. Central government, we have MD NICSI with us. As we know, like NICSI has played a very, very important role in terms of streamlining the procurement, not only for central government but also for multiple PSUs and state departments. Obviously, government procurement remains a very, very strong foundation for taking up any digital transformation of size, because government will struggle with the kind of capacity what they have. So obviously that is very, very important. So, sir, what we can please share your thoughts, and also share your thoughts around what we can look up to NICSI for future for improving these services, whether it's a new way of procurement or new platforms which NICSI is designing.
Thank you, Amit. And namaskar to all the panelists. And lot many things have already been said by counterparts in other agencies, and I could hear lot many things where NICSI directly or indirectly has been partnering with those agencies, be it RailTel or Telangana State or and all the agencies, because uh, we are serving around 3,700 users across India. If I am calling it users, there may be multiple users in one department. We are serving different divisions or sections in those departments. I think there is univocal acceptance of IT in today's transformational exercise. What I used to feel after being in around 34 years in e-governance domain, right? I started my career in research, and then I moved to e-governance at the district level. And perhaps if I connect those dots from those days, where my server, my computer machine, you can say so, in today's world it is just, it is far more below than desktops, was second one in the district. So we started our journey from that day, way back in 1988-89. Lot many things have already been told by, as Telangana has mentioned, they are doing some blockchain things. Somebody is doing AI, somebody is doing ML. And I think all these things, all these experiments or all these efforts are going to bring the last mile citizen at par with my urban citizen, or the reduction of digital divide, which we say. So whenever we implement any IT project, my gauge of success is that if I could reduce the turnaround time of service delivery, if I could reduce the total cost of ownership for user for delivering that service, if I can bring a smile on the face of farthest citizen. I had a lot much experience in rural development. There we tried to make the things easier. And one of very interesting metrics is that the average time to complete a house was reduced from 317 days to 117 days, because we equipped the rural citizen, executor, administrators with ample information. It was not a rocket science to do that, but in my opinion, we should strive for the technology which can really make the thumping change in one's life. So in NICSI, we are supporting right from Apex office to Gram Panchayat. We have built a dashboard of dashboards, and the Prayas for Apex office, where more than 132 ministries or departments schemes have been onboarded, and it is being referred as a single source of truth for all the schemes progress. Recently, we have also done a project for Ministry of Labour and Employment, eShram, where all the unorganized workers are being registered, and gradually it will be a game changer into that vulnerable class of our society, where the social security things and schemes will be implemented across that registry. We have also been instrumental, and we are executing that project for Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, which is intended to save the life of accident victims. So whenever I talk with my field staff, I used to say that with your intervention, technological intervention, if we can save even a single life, that would be the ROI of my project. Because human life doesn't come with any price tag. So with the identification of the black spot, with the early turn up of ambulance, the proper linkage with hospital, if even we can save a single life, it will be a great for my project. So these are the things where we have to measure the success of the project. It may not involve the best technology, best software, best ergonomically design, but as a social technology expert, I should say that it should come up with considerably change in one's life. No doubt, if we strive for this, it will turn up to the considerable improvement in everybody, and also we can reduce the burden on government exchequer, because if I can reduce the turnaround time, or I can get the project completed in earliest possible time, then there will be less workload, there's less load on my government exchequer, and we can spend that saved money in more meaningful works. That's all from my side, Amit, and I am there for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So today I was reading, that Nepal is the first country who's implementing our UPI, which is obviously one of the best, digital payment and the ID which are leader. So would you like to talk about, like, NICSI and NICSI also has been making an effort to productize its offering and also take it through advocacy route to other countries, like, your product division.
Today, one contingent of NICSI is going to Mauritius. We have already presence in Mauritius with our product e-prison. Likewise, we are there in Sri Lanka, and we are foreseeing a few rollouts in Bahrain, Qatar, and some South African countries also. That's true, because if we can popularize and we can replicate our solution, the biggest strength our country has, our software is tested on the largest democratic population. If I say that my COVID thing, it is tested, it encompasses 100 crores. So these numbers are just mesmerizing for any other installations. We are there and we are having separate product business division. And I am happy to offer the service of that with other government agencies, department, PSUs, where they can tie up with the NICSI for marketing that their products also, and further improving their products. So we are having full-fledged team who works on the product ergonomics, design, those things. And we are also in talk with RailTel for e-office rollout in a bigger way. And for like hospital information management system, we have been reached by National Health Authority through MIT that if we can offer the solution as a platform, so we are working on that, and soon we will be offering those services for private establishments also. And we are also foreseeing some of the indigenously developed product, a microblogging platform, Lok Samvad, we have done internally. We are we have also rolled out Sandesh, something where we can exchange the digital messages, and it has been integrated with software also. So a lot many things are happening over Lok Samvad and Sandesh in government. And we have also come up with our own visual intelligence tool, Tejas, visual intelligence. So these are some innovative products which NICSI is building, and those will surely be helpful to, I think, common man, because it is very difficult to procure the more expensive product for that purpose. So we are there, and I am happy to tell that NICSI is a partner for e-passport and e-visa also. Likely we are going to get that inaugurated by mid-year, this year itself. So we are working day and night for that purpose with MEA. So these are the things where we are expanding in India and abroad.
Thank you, sir. I think fascinating to know that we should be known, not only known by the Indian CEOs of IT firms, but it should also be known by the digital government, right? That we can replicate our products like UPI, Aadhaar, and so on and so forth. I think nothing like it. Thanks for your time, and I'll move on to Vidyasagar ji. Over to you, sir. You want to share, in terms of the projects undertaken, approach changes in the recent time in your state.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon to the co-panelists. I've heard what everyone has been saying, and as you know, we learn from each other, and we learn quite a bit in every one of these conferences. Some of the things that are going on in over the last couple of years, we've had several conclaves where we talked about what's going on in AP, combined AP and Telangana being kind of leaders on the IT field and what we do. So today I wanted to take a different tack based on what happened recently. We were looking at skill development as one of the levers to improve job situation as well as the economy of the state. And we met with several large employers, large companies that hire thousands of graduates every year. And they said combined AP obviously used to be the largest single provider of human resources in IT field. It still is. And Andhra Pradesh now still does as the single largest catchment area, so to say, if we are looking at people as human resources. And when we started talking about what's happening in the industry and what can we do to provide them with employable resources, as we look at the exciting things that are happening in the technology field are in the emerging technologies, and they are truly exciting and no knock on them. We want to be at the forefront of technology. We want to do what's the latest and the greatest thing and the cool technologies. Most of the employers have been saying that 85% or more of all the needs, open jobs are in the, I would say, traditional or mature technologies. So things like full stack development, there is obviously need for certain advanced fields like cybersecurity and those kind of things. So our focus, while there has to be a vanguard, a pioneering effort to understand, to implement emerging technologies and bring them to the states as not just as R&D, research and development, but also to implement, because new technologies definitely are the way of the future. But there has to be a lot of focus on what are mature technologies that will help employers hire. So to that extent, it was a revelation to say all the focus has been on the new things, the cool stuff that we also do as part of real-time governance. It's one of the state government agencies that focuses on bringing emerging technology into the state government and providing solutions and options to government departments. So we do that. Some of the vendors are able to provide technologies and solutions that do utilize the emerging technologies. And there are agencies that work with large vendors, all the way from TCS to startups and innovators, where we are asking them to provide hackathons to solve government problems. So we kind of collect problem statements from various government departments, and then we are asking, okay, let us call the startups, the innovators, the smart kids, the hungry companies, and ask them to provide solutions or POCs, proof of concept kind of pilots. So we do that. But then when it came to job training, skill development, the overwhelming need seemed to be in the full stack development, the traditional technologies that still are, they make up the largest portion of the open jobs. So we are working with AP Skill Development, AP State Skill Development Corporation, and enticing companies that you come and hire our graduates, which you're doing anyway. What we want to do is provide skill factories. So companies usually have their own custom training initiatives. So rather than you spend three to 4 months on training these kids after you hire them, you outsource that to us. We are going to train them. Maybe you still will have to do some custom training based on your own company needs, but for the most part, 2 months, 3 months, or half or 2/3 or 3/4 of the training will be performed by the Skill Development Corporation. And then providing companies with work from anywhere concepts. One of the things that our Honorable CM has been very keen on is the development of rural Andhra Pradesh. So digital libraries at the village level, by providing fiber to villages, has been a major project that's been ongoing. Central government supports that in various grants. So with that, as well as the state's contribution, we are digitizing villages. So taking fiber in this year, it's in our budget to do 4,350 or so villages to have fiber connectivity to them. So that's about approximately 1/3 of all the villages. Currently, we have fiber connectivity to Mandal level and to the substation level for the most part. So these kind of initiatives are going to transform rural AP. So any person who is in any village will have access to the digital world. They'll have fiber connectivity. The digital libraries will have 4 to 6 computer workstations. So people can just walk in, start using them, stay connected, use it. And now people who are traveling to their native places, they still have some place where they can go and actually work remotely. Because during the COVID time, the acceptance by MNCs as well as international clients to remote working has been a tremendous change. We used to be very particular about where are the outsourced employees working from? Are they in offshore development centers? How is the security there? How is data control? All those things. That was tremendously relaxed during COVID time. So people are like, okay, as long as you're able to get the work done, we'll worry about the rest of the stuff later. So that doesn't minimize the data security and the leaks and the hacks and that kind of risk. We still need to take care of them. But since there is acceptance, people who are going on vacations, people who want to stay, even now, while we say that employers are calling employees back, a large percentage of them, I'd say more than 50-60% of them are still working remote. So looking at this, and since AP doesn't have a large city, such as either Hyderabad or Bangalore or New Delhi, we rely on tier 2 and tier 3 cities to provide a lot of our employment. So people who used to work in cities are back in AP now, working remotely. We're asking the employers to work or have satellite offices here. Government is going to provide through policy, as well as AP being, I think, the top ranked state in ease of doing business. It's easy for you to set up shop here, have a satellite office, have a temporary workspace for your employees, and make them work here, and they're going to be connected. Provides multiple benefits. Lower cost of living means the employees save money. Employers don't have to have as much workspace, office space, so their costs will go down. For us, we are building an ecosystem of employers as well as entrepreneurs throughout the state. So COVID, as well as the technology, is providing us with a different way of looking for growth as well as employment within the state here. And obviously, like I said, most projects that we are talking about, we do leverage technology to provide citizen services, to redress grievances. And the finding for me is, obviously technology is a huge asset and it's an enabler of a lot of things. We have leveraged that. But also when there is an emergency like COVID, for example, how well the government agencies, various departments are able to come together, collaborate, cut the red tape and deliver wonders. I mean, I came from US 3 years ago. to work as IT advisor to government of AP. And our impression is, compared to corporate, government is slow. Compared to the first world countries, we are not quite there, those kind of things. But within a year of coming here, in 2020, when I saw the state command center as well as the district command centers leveraging technology, coming together, cutting through silos and working together, the amount of work that they have done and the speed with which we are able to take control of the situation and provide services, treatments and options and all these things, that's been really eye-opening and makes me very proud of India. So I'll stop it here, over to you. And if there are any questions or follow-ups, I'll take after that.
Thanks a lot. I think you brought some different topics and very important ones in terms of skills and employment, and also the calamity brings opportunity in terms of developing small centers, work from home culture virtually. Imagine, even we were never used to, these conferences, we used to assemble at places like Mumbai, Delhi, so on and so forth. So I think, yes, this is a good thing and we are leveraging that. Thank you very much. So I'll just quickly move on to, one second, I'll move on to Sanjiv ji. You there? Sanjiv ji comes from PRCL, so he'll share different perspective, I'm sure, from his logistics background. Sanjiv ji, over to you. Sir, you are on a mute.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be amongst you all today. And in fact, the topic that you've chosen, leveraging Digital India initiatives through technology-based solutions for governance and public service deliveries. Because we are in fact living in this era of IT and now data analytics, which is the latest thing which has come in. And it was basically, it is, you can say, the successor of whatever IT has done, which has generated this field called data analytics. I would say that the Indian Railways has been a forerunner in the era of introduction of IT in the country, because as you are all aware, the passenger reservation system, which was introduced almost around the early 80s in India, was in fact one of the first few applications of IT for providing mass delivery services to the public, because in terms of the numbers involved, because as you may be aware, the number of tickets that could be generated through the system was only possible by having a IT on a common platform, and thereby, in fact, it is the most visible example of providing public service seamlessly over the last 40-50 years. And thereafter, in fact, other government departments followed suit, particularly the banking system. In fact, when in the banking system IT came, there was tremendous resistance from the staff unions. As you may be aware, they went through strikes, etc. Incidentally, on the railways, we never had such a problem, although there was very mild resistance from the unions. But the unions soon realized that this was something for the benefit of the railway user. So they didn't really resist it to the extent that the banking unions did it. But then, as far as the public is concerned, the visible impact on the convenience that the public could see through the passenger reservation system gave the government a handle to tackle the banking unions, because they could tell them that, look, the kind of convenience that people are having through the PRS will have to come to the banking system also. And today, I mean, IT, the entire banking system is totally IT based. So therefore, when we come to leveraging technology, banking and Indian Railways, the passenger reservation system, are most visible examples of leveraging such technology. And subsequently, this technology has been leveraged by the government for providing free rations or direct benefit transfers to the people below the poverty line, etc. Because otherwise, if you all recall, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi saying that whatever the government distributes to the people below the poverty line, a large percentage of it goes through leakages in the system. So basically, now technology has been leveraged to minimize such leakages in the system, so that such transfers, whether they are direct benefit transfers or otherwise, can reach the beneficiary directly with minimum leakages, or maybe in some cases nil leakages. As far as the Indian Railways is concerned, which I think already my colleague Iti Pandey has referred to many areas, so I shall obviously not repeat them. But I mean, as far as I'll just mention 5-6 areas where Indian Railways are leveraging this technology. The first one were obviously the passenger reservation system, which basically facilitated in fulfilling the ticketing needs of about 2 crore passengers daily, and more than 25,000 tickets per minute booking capabilities. That means you can generate more than 25,000 tickets every minute, and you can handle more than 20 crore inquiries daily regarding train movements and arrival departure. And basically there are, I would say, 4 types of capsules: the unreserved ticketing system, the passenger reservation system for the reserved accommodation, the national train inquiry system, and the security helpline. These are 4 major applications for which are there for the public interface as far as the passengers are concerned. And Iti had already mentioned some of these, described some of them, so I'll not repeat that. Similarly, on the freight side, you have applications like control office application, freight operations information system, integrated coach management system, parcel management system, and the real-time information system. Basically, these applications are then helping the Indian Railways in managing the movement of 3.5 million tons of freight daily, which generates more than almost 350 crores of freight revenue every day. And it, we have enabled the digital payments through 98% cashless revenue earnings. That means out of these 350 crores that we are earning in freight, 98% is received digitally. And it also helps us to monitor almost 3 lakh wagons which are moving throughout the country every day. So, I mean, you can imagine the kind of reach that, this digital technology is helping the Indian Railways in achieving the objectives of maximizing the asset usage and help providing seamless service to its users. In fact, in the operations side, we also have what is called the train traffic control and operations, for which every single train can be tracked. We can also manage every coach, crew, and other operations digitally. And then we have the real-time tracking of trains through satellite-based tracking mechanisms. So, basically passenger and freight are being totally now digitally monitored and controlled. On the asset management side, we have introduced what is called the track management system and the traction distribution management system for monitoring the railway infrastructure, which consists of stations, workshops, sheds, yards, etc., and inspection and maintenance of tracks, overhead lines, land, signals, etc., and of course managing the rolling stock assets, locos, rakes. So, whether it's assets or operations, everywhere the technology is helping us. And as Mr. Raja also talked about, from the procurement side, we have automated the procurement processes too, which have introduced transparency and accountability with 100% online procurement, digitalizing the railway working through office automation and e-governance solutions, and KPIs based and DSS enabled monitoring and sharing information with the public. And some of the capsules which have been developed in this regard, one of them is EWSS, that is e-working software solution, ESS, that is employee self-service and internal applications, E-Drishti, to which Iti fairly extensively referred to, and EPS, that is the e-procurement system. So that is another area which the railways have ventured into. And lastly, I would like to mention human resource and accounting, where again the railways have now in the last 10 years, I would say, tried to digitize large number of processes. So we therefore, we are managing about a workforce of 12 lakh employees. Incidentally, we have managed to reduce the workforce over the last 40 years by 6 lakh. In the early 80s, the workforce was 1.8 million, and today it's down to 1.2 million. So we've reduced the workforce by 6 lakh over the last 4 decades. So we have digitized the accounting and finance system with 100% online booking of expenditure and online railway budgeting and progress monitoring through applications like accounting information management system and security management system, personnel management and information system, and even for health, what is called UMID, unique medical identification for all serving and retired railway employees. So effectively, all areas of railway functioning have been digitized, and they are being further, now advancements are happening. So you can say refinements and advancements, which are making everything very seamless for everybody. But then there is always scope for improvement. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, the kind of improvements that will happen are really going to be tremendous, and which will make life even more simpler for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Praveen ji. I think it was a lot in terms of, I think even 3 speakers could not cover the entire railway. The organization is like that. I'm sure some parts must have been missed out. Fairly large organization. So in the interest of time, I'll quickly move to Praveen. So Praveen, we saved you for the last because we'll get the different perspective from industry in terms of, just talk about, seeing the overall fintech situation in India, how it is improving common citizens, and also look at, in terms of the overall financial inclusion, in terms of what we wanted to achieve, whether we have achieved or not. Just share your perspective.
Thank you so much, Amit, for inviting me to be a part of this esteemed panel, and a very good afternoon to fellow panelists. I think one of the central parts of financial inclusion is access to credit. In my view, there have been 3 phases of digital financial services and inclusion in India. The first phase was 2014 to 2016, with the growth of Jan Dhan accounts and payment wallets. The second phase was from 2017 to 2021, which was driven by the introduction of UPI. I believe we are now in the third phase, which will be led by fintechs, digital banks, neobanks, digital lending, and the account aggregator model. It is, of course, still a long road ahead in digital lending. Today, only about 2% of total outstanding credit is via digital, and there is a long run rate of growth ahead if we are to reach near 20% disbursement, similar to developed economies. To specifically mention what we do at Scoreme.in. Now, Scoreme is a 4-year-old fintech in the area of paperless credit and digital lending using AI. We are parented by a tier 1 merchant bank, Resurgent India. Our idea is simplifying processing of unstructured data in multiple formats, and we help financial institutional customers in reducing risk, increasing operational efficiency, and enhancing transparency in lending decisions. To give you a simple example of what we do using AI at Scoreme, our AI-based solutions will process unstructured data in bank statements, in MCA reports, in ITR, in GST returns. See, all of these APIs are now publicly available by the government. And we help generate an automated credit appraisal memo within minutes. So our objective is to give an in-principle loan approval within under 30 minutes. To give you another innovative example of how we have adopted big data and AI at Scoreme, the specific use cases in the auto renewal of loans. We've built an offering that's called Sampan, which stands for Simplified Analysis of MSMEs using PAN. So just using PAN, we are able to extract GST and ITR information basis the consent of the borrower. And without consent, we are able to extract information about legal cases, about EPFO details and MCA information. This helps us build a risk model across financial, legal, business, and management risk. And using the risk score, we can help banks decide whether to auto-renew the CC loans and if they need to increase or reduce the CC limits.
Praveen, sorry to interrupt. If you can just put your camera a little bit down, because like your face is... Yeah, perfect. You can carry on.
So we've also recently started working with a government-based VC fund for rural borrowers and scheduled tribes. And through our analytics, we are aiming to increase access to credit for them. And today we work with 200 plus financial institutions, providing end-to-end digital lending journeys. I think to speak about some of the challenges that the industry still faces in enabling access to credit, I think we are still scratching the surface. From about 2% overall lending digitally, we can head towards a global metric of 15 to 20% and even surpass that over the next 5 years. The specific challenges around MSMEs. Of the net 64 million, only 10 million have access to formal credit. And that's the area that we want to target as Scoreme. There are, of course, trust issues with digital lenders and privacy concerns. So in my view, if we are to sustain the future and if we are to build the future, RBI has recently recommended a Digital India Trust Agency to build and verify digital lending apps. I think that should help a lot. RBI is also promoting the concept of self-regulatory organizations. That will also help establish digital lenders and fintechs with standard codes of conduct. Account aggregators can become an agent of change and help financial inclusion by shifting from an asset-backed lending model to a cash flow-based lending model. I think data security will be of absolute essence. And I think to finally reiterate, collaboration, partnership, agility, and trust between the stakeholders and end customers will be key. So any banking is about trust. And so if we are to replicate the success of the UPI model in digital lending, that can happen through trust. I was talking to someone recently in New York last week, and they said they had challenges in bringing stakeholders on one page to adopt the distributed ledger technology. And their view was that India could lead the way. And we are very happy as Scoreme to be a part of that journey. So I frankly did not have to pitch India. They were already sold to the India journey. So that's my broad view on fintechs and lending.
Thanks, Praveen. I think the 2 points which you made are very important. One is the focus on the MSME and the rural population in particular, right? Because while having account is fine, but then in terms of, kind of looking at overall spectrum of financial services, to credit and everything like urban or middle class citizens are having, it's good, phenomenal. I think we'll connect offline as well to see what best we can do as a consultant. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what I think we got to hear. Very, very diverse views, very different learning. So I think we'll take it and use it. So over to you, Fahim.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for moderating such a diverse panel. And actually, it was really interesting to hear about this topic from various aspects, be it railways, from the IT aspect, or from Telangana, Andhra. Praveen, at the end, you gave some really great perspective towards this. So with this, I would like to present small token of digital token of appreciation. It's a digital memento to all of you. So I'd request my backend team if they can just put in. So first we'll start with Mr. Praveen Khanna. Backend team is Thanks, Praveen. Thanks for being a part of this. We'll email it to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next, Iti ma'am, for Iti ma'am. Thank you, Iti ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Next is for Sanjiv Garg, sir. Thank you, Sanjiv Garg, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is for K. Manohar Raja, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is for J. Vidyasagara Reddy, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Fahim.
Next is for Ramadevi, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Next is for Prashant Kumar Mittal, sir. Thank you, sir. Next is for Dr. Lalthalamuana, sir. Is there? Thank you. So I think so with this, we would like to end this panel, and we really appreciate you all to give your time on a Saturday. And thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.